because the sand is squishy. But welcome to Japan. Hope you enjoy the live today. Here we go. Start walk. Now, I did something kind of weird yesterday. I mean, for a normal human, it's probably fine. It's weird for me. What's all this sand doing up here? I wore my running shoes, but I walked around in them. And if you've ever done long distance running and put like serious mileage into your shoes, they wear differently than normal walking shoes. And Norman! Yuki Snow, what's up, friend? I've been waiting for you. It has been a while, as you have said. Welcome to Zushi Beach. We are on a nice run on vacation. And I've officially exited Johnson & Johnson after a decade of service in surgical robotics. We're starting some new stuff. I'm already out of breath. Let me really say, it feels like months since I've been here. I know. How did you wrap up school? What are you doing this summer? You got a co-op or internship or just doing cool things at home? The Roman Hydra. I know it's been a year since I chatted, but I want to say congrats on how far you've come. Thank you so much, dude. It's been really quite wild. I mean, just to add a little bit of extra context, even though, you just dropped in, like, we moved 12 times as a family to get to Japan. And then we just finished our 13th move in order to stay in Japan. So, finished. Like, all our crap is from one house into another house, but it's a much smaller home, so it's not fully livable yet. There's some custom storage and things that I'm making. I tried to document a portion of the journey, but honestly it got so complex, I was like, I just need to crank this out and be done with it. But it's been quite wild, so I'm transitioning into consulting, both for businesses and for people. And then I'm going to start rolling out a school, SKOOL, which is like a paid community where I'm going to put a whole bunch of digital classes up that capture everything I've learned in the last 10 years. So hopefully I can shave a couple years off of your engineering, business, leadership, corporate journey. So that's coming. It's going to be super high quality, so I've already scripted like a whole class. But kind of my new ikigai, which just means like purpose in Japanese, is going to be helping engineers find their way. So I'm going to try to monetize that by bringing a lot of value to engineers on their journey. Relatively underserved. And while you learn a lot in college, there's a lot of gaps. And I think we'll be in good shape. So yes, I'm out of J&J. How can I lose? I started my year-long placement. Started work. Oh, what? Monday. I'm an official software engineering intern. Oh my gosh, you need to join my class. It's gonna be so cool, Norman. Actually, I have a whole bunch of one-on-ones set up with members of my prior network in Johnson & Johnson. Like, I'm learning how to sell, which is a really challenging skill set to dial in. And then the other thing, while content creation and consulting may be able to provide financially, in order to live in Japan compliantly, rather than working for someone else or a company to sponsor my visa, I found a path through the city of Shibuya to get a startup visa, which basically gives you a year to lay the groundwork for people you would want to work with you to raise funds, which I plan on doing through direct sales. And then you can transition into a business manager visa after a year if you're successful in that, which means getting like, I think you need about 40,000 USD to start a business manager visa. But at that point, that gives us legal standing to stay in Japan while I consult. That's another thing I'm working on. The first week was rough, quite boring. Finally getting given proper tasks. Now I'm loving it. That's awesome, friend. So what are you working on, or is it secret? Everything's secret in this industry. It's cute. But Norman and the Roman Hydra, I'm really happy for you, dude. Sorry about that. I'm live again. But so Norman, you're in, and then schooling after that year, because I was assuming you had like 2 left, right? So is it like a full gap year, or do you take a class or 2 while you work? Well, I work for a company that makes onboarding service for law firms. Ooh, exciting. To get them clients. So it's all leads generation. That's cool. Hate to interrupt, but I've been waiting to visit Japan for a good while now. Do you have any suggestions on where? Oh, it's such a wonderful question. Wouldn't it be great if I had an ultimate Japan guide to just give you? I don't. I'm working towards it. I gotta get my digital class launched first, but then that's kind of the next phase. So I've had the opportunity to travel all the way from kind of the north to the top, to the bottom of Japan, because of business trips and family adventures. And I recorded around 23 VR walks in all these key areas. So the goal is to make like an ultimate travel guide that has links to each of those walks, hotels, restaurants, and experiences identified. And then I'll have like affiliate links. So if you then book travel, we would get like revenue for it. Haven't done that yet. So I normally like to start with a couple questions as your personal tour guide to Japan. Like, where are you from? Like US, Europe, etc. How long are you trying to go? And then what kind of experiences are you looking for based on what you already know about Japan? And then I could kind of like modify and add structure and inject good experiences into what you're looking for. So I'll wait. You can respond to all that, and then I'll give you context. But we've lived here for three years almost. We've had tons of experiences as a family, and we still haven't stopped experiencing cool new things. So like there's a lot to filter through. There's probably lag. I mean, I'm in Japan on a beach town trying to run to Mount Fuji. So it's always fun. I can't wait till that comes out. I used to watch all of your shorts, but then school and soccer got in the way. Hey, no worries, bud. I recognize that with the internet, like, people come and go. For instance, there are creators where every once in a while I'm like, I wonder what happened to blog. Yeah, it turns out they've been making content every day for the last year. The algorithm just said, don't you want to watch this instead? So it's hard. It's hard to actually stay legitimately connected to the creators and the people we care about, unless you move into like a Patreon space, or I'm moving towards like the school platform, SKOOL, where you have a deeper connection. I mean, people use Discord the same way, which I'm hoping to be a little bit better at. But I'm glad you're excited about that. And if you do go to the link in the bio and join our Discord and DM me, I could put you on the wait list, which doesn't exist yet. But I'm learning that when you're making products, if you create a wait list, then you can start to see how strong the demand is. And if I make it like a survey with the right questions, then I can tailor that product to be exactly what you need it to be to provide the most value. I have to do a bunch of notes, keep a journal, then do massive report on my end of what I did. Oh, that's a lot of work for the employer. My boss will always review my performance and report it to the universe. How does it feel to be under so much scrutiny? Is it fun? Well, anyway, because we've been running for a while now, it's been about 12 minutes. So we're probably at about a mile. It's probably a good time to introduce myself to the 5 new friends hanging out. But welcome to Japan. Welcome to the frenzy of my world as I learn how to raise 5 kids here. 4 kids here, not 5, oh my god. 5's too many, 4's enough. 4 is enough, no more kids. But recently our family took a jump towards more full-time-ish living here. We had a return path offer from Johnson & Johnson to go back to the States. It was in the wrong state. It was the wrong job. And me and my wife talked about it together. And we turned down the offer in order to take a jump on a life here and figure out everything on the back end, which is amazing. The amount of anxiety and panic attacks we've both navigated is incredible. But we're on the cusp of success, which means not being deported and not running out of money. If we could actually work for ourselves and generate income in a different context legally and extend our visa, we're in good shape. At least I was. But we're working on catching a sunrise in Japan right now. That's kind of the mission. Whew. So Norman, as you're fresh in industry right now, struggling now. What's the biggest challenge or adjustment you've had to make over the first week of your job? Yeah. I'm sure the life of an intern is quite challenging. Let me check chat. Let's see. Canopy code that's dated. Hey, at least it's not 4chan. Alright, you're a step above 4chan. Yeah, it's rough, honestly. My notes are getting worse and worse as the days pass. My job is getting more tiring, and I want to log off at the end of the day, not write a bunch of notes. Oh my, that's the biggest pain. I don't know how any of it works. You're fine. So part of it's just navigating like a really steep learning curve, right? What do you think the hardest learning curve is? Is it the technical aspects, like actually day-to-day engineering? Is it the corporate, social leadership aspects? Time management, pacing the day, Like, it's definitely not college. As well as, you said, like the note taking. I'm trying to identify pain points pre-career in engineering, early career, which are a great case study, and like mid-advanced career, which is where I've just kind of passed. So I'm more seasoned 10 years in. But I still feel like I remember college and the transition through co-oping. But even now, things change. Sounds like everything's going awesome for you and your family. You just joined the Discord. What? Yeah, I'll make sure I make a note of you to kind of like get your email and forward you a wait list once I get back from vacation. So it'll probably be like early mid next week. And you can bug me if you don't get it. Sadly, no texting channel permissions. That's gonna be awesome to stay up to date. What? Norman can help you figure out the Discord. It's overcomplicated. We end up just using general. I gotta burn the whole thing down and redo it. Excuse me. It is definitely built far more complicated than it needs to be. So that's another work item to simplify that. Figure out which channels we actually give a hoot about. Prune off the rest. And as I start moving towards school and digital classes and other products, I do need to kind of adjust it for leads generation. Take your time, man. I'm just excited. When are you thinking about coming to Japan? Like, for some people, it's a once-in-a-lifetime trip, and they like ball out with it, like just all in. Other folks realize it's a cool place to go, so they pace themselves a little bit and plan multiple trips over time. But everyone's got limited vacation, right? I actually don't feel too pressured with the corporate pain part. It's the university. Yeah, I can see all that sucking. And the university doesn't prepare you for massive code bases. Okay. It's a lot to navigate, right? I have no idea. But I gotta convince my parents since I'm sadly 18. When you're 18, you'll get a job. You'll get your own money, work a little bit, and then go when you want to go. Right? You're an adult now. I mean, I'm not your parent or guardian. So, yeah, I guess talk to your parents about when Japan happens. Especially if you're that young. Saving up for tickets if you're coming from the US, especially Midwest, you're looking at like $1,800. So you definitely got to get out ahead of it. Plan a little bit. Oh, under 18. Well, grow up a little bit. If Doctor Strange knows how to adjust time, I'm sure you can figure something out. Smart kid. No, I'm just trolling. But even early on, you can start working, doing side jobs, cutting lawns, saving up. Whew. And when you have the cash available, and you get your parents aligned to it, and maybe learn a little Japanese on the side, on Duolingo or whatever, nothing holds you back, man. You just gotta take ownership over it and over the experience you want, especially if it's contrary to what your parents are interested on prioritizing, right? like, if you have a different interest in Japan than them, then they're probably never going to take you to Japan. I don't know, because they want to go to Florida or something lame like that. There's a surfer out there. He's crushing it. Dude, your advice is like the best. Well, thank you so much, friend. I appreciate it. There'll be a lot more on school down the road. But again, you got to side hustle and make some money if you want to join, because it'll cost as much as Netflix. That's my target, because anyone in high school or college, mainly college, if they really want to supplement what they're learning in college and maximize kind of their potential and their path forward, their ability to find a way as an engineer, they can cancel their subscription to Netflix, get $12 and put it into something they actually learn from, and then later, after a month, cancel my platform and go back to Netflix if they really need Squid Games or whatever they're watching. Oh, big hill. Or they generate enough money while they're in college that they can afford my school class and Netflix. That's a win-win. The code base is so big, so good. Yeah, I got old and new stuff, right? And it keeps building upon itself. So finding your way is so challenging. Plus, it's probably under annotated in certain spots, right? No. It's like finding your way through a web. Like, could you imagine navigating Google's crap without a guide? It's brutal. I'm going to Japan next year. It's basically confirmed. Dude, you'll get more than a coffee with me. All right, I'll take you around. Norman, you're in the inner circle of our community. Now, if our channel grows like crazy, I can't take everybody everywhere. I have kids and responsibilities. But especially if I lean towards full-time content creation and caring for our community, those meetups are like so important. So I'd love to hang out. I'm not going to be with you every day of your trip, but we can figure something out. I'm just saying coffee is a low bar, okay? Alright. Let's get our look out. Whew. And some water. Japanese water fountains in parks are a little intense. But then we're going to talk about that island over there, because I went there yesterday. I'll take it. Going with loads of friends, but I'll have a day to see you. Do you have your dates? Do you have your dates and your flights figured out? Because one of the first things people do is they're like, I'm going to buy a flight from here to here on this day, Tokyo to Tokyo. I'm like, no! It's the worst thing you could do. Ugh. You want to see your average park water fountain? It's an experience. It's not flattering. Hey friends. All right. So they're like these little spigot things, but the water pressure is super intense in Japan, so it's just not fun. Ugh. Thanks for hanging out before September. Not sure when. Okay. Well, you need to be on the wait list for the Japan guide too then, I guess. Oh, do we want to go high or low? I'm going to do low. It's less work. But I'm going to get you a good view of Mount Fuji. Probably not, because it's overcast in this island. And hopefully not run into a ton of spider webs. I'm taller than like every other Japanese person. I'm actually using the phone to catch the webs instead of my face. It's not because I want you to see my nice fade. I got a haircut a month ago. Still looks good. But the first tip I would suggest you, Norman, if for some reason we don't connect, which would be strange, now that I'm going to be going live more often. Is there someone down here? All right, let me flip the camera. Here's a nice little statue. You got to do a multi-flight. So Japan is so much more than Tokyo. Let me flip it so you can see. So what I mean by that, and by the way, Mount Fuji is behind those clouds. You can't see it at all. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, we could see it really well. But then that is Enoshima Island. We're about an hour south of Tokyo. That island's really cool. It's got some caves in it that were dug out by water. There's like a little tower, dink, right there that'll take you to the highest point in Enoshima Island so you can see a little bit of Tokyo if you got clear skies. And there's like a whole bunch of restaurants, cool shops. We bought a ton of, oh, you're gonna see them in the digital class. I forgot exactly what they're called. Furoshiki. Furoshiki are like these beautiful artisan Japanese cloths. They use them to give gifts to people. But I found that there's a way to hang them. So I bought a hanger and I bought like 12 of them. So I dropped like $200 USD on these beautiful like artisan cloths. So the idea is like for each module of my class, I'll hang a different one. So it just gives people cool stuff to look at. And then down the road, if people come to Japan and they find a really nice one, they can send me one. And then they can see their cloth in the videos. I don't know. It felt kind of classy and cool. But anyway, Enoshima Island's a good time. It's far. But when I'm... yeah, one of my friends studied Japanese in Japan, so they're going to be our little translator. That helps. You still probably want to be able to order your own food and like loosely make connections with people. Oh! Do we want to go down to the danger zone? Slippery rocks. Dumb YouTuber dies by sliding into a ravine filled with water. I'm already like, no. Maybe. I've seen enough videos of people taking selfies with their back turned to things like this and then a big wave coming and pulling them in and then not being savable. You wouldn't happen to be at Inamuragaki Park, would you? It's a little personal. Let me check. I mean, it's possible that's Inamuragaki Park. If I open another app, does it kill this app? Imagura Park. How's the best way to do this? So I can't screen share, right? I don't know. I'll go check a map, I guess. They have some maps around here. We could go down. It just looks wet, friends. I mean, I got good shoes on. Just pulled up Google Maps and saw that one was near the island. You said it's very possible. It rained yesterday, which is why I am not liking this. But I want to get right to the edge so that I could do the Little Mermaid right there. You know what I'm talking about? Where the water splashes while she's on the rock. I'm going to do that and hopefully not get pulled into my death. There we go. Just stand flat stuff. Trust your feet. Don't be an idiot. One of the main ways to stay alive in most situations is to not be an idiot. It's amazing how far it'll take you. I used to walk all over those rocks when I was younger trying to find crabs. What? You Brits are crazy. It is gorgeous though. Yeah, I'm like, that's close enough for me. There's something that used to be something. I'm like, get close enough, but live. This area feels less wet. Oh no, I'm not responsible if you fall in. You mean you're not gonna take, like, command of leading my family? You don't want to raise 4 kids right now on a software intern pay? I mean, it's probably slightly above McDonald's. Anyway, multi-flight while we enjoy some sights for a minute, and then I gotta make my way back before the kids wake up. If you're flying, let's say we're in Norman, because I know where Norman lives. Norman lives in the UK. If you want to come to Japan, the worst thing you could do with your friends is be like, all right, we're going to fly to Tokyo on a Saturday. And we're going to be there Sunday. through the next Saturday. And then we're going to fly from Tokyo back to the UK. But in the middle of that trip, we want to get from Tokyo to Kyoto because I heard Kyoto's really cool. So we're going to take a bullet train to Kyoto and a bullet train back to Tokyo. And we're going to burn a day on trains and then have to get back to where we started, which is lame, to fly away. Oh my, in Tokyo? I'm not sure if that sounds affordable at all. No, not at all. This is so fun. I'm not dead and it's pretty, so I'll take that. But what you want to do instead is say, we're going to fly into Tokyo. We're going to do cool Tokyo things for 3 days, because really, that's all you really need in Tokyo if you're selective and smart about it. I mean, if you want to do a 2-week trip and spend a bit more time there, you totally could. But bare bones, you don't need to put all your time into Tokyo. It's where the internet tells you to go. But there's better places to see. Whew. Feel it in my knees. Just kidding, it's not that bad. Let's get a couple deadlift stretches. Just means I'm kicking my butt back, squeezing the glutes at the rise, tucking in my tailbone, grabbing my core, leaning forward, and we'll walk forward with purpose. So anyway, what you want to do, which would be smart, fly into Tokyo, do your little Tokyo adventure for 3 days, and tailor it based on your budget and the experiences you care about. Don't figure it out when you're there. Which is like the majority of the people I talk to. They're like, hey, I'll be in Tokyo next week, what should I do? Or, hey, I'm coming in tomorrow. I was like, you've missed the ability to reserve things. Like, Japan is a reserve ahead of time culture. Now, there's certain stuff you can get away with not doing that. But like, for instance, I had friends who were like, we really want to eat at this sushi restaurant. It's like a Michelin star sushi restaurant. Can't do either of these days work. I had my Japanese friend call up, and they're like, no, none of that works. It's like, you have to book that a year in advance. Now, she pulled some Miki magic, her friend's Miki, and she got us in on an alternate day, and they flipped their whole travel arrangements around, and it was the best sushi of their life, right? But like, there's a certain aspect that you can't figure out on the fly. There's also a certain aspect you can't figure out ahead of time. Finding the balance of pre-planning and in-the-moment improvisation is very important. Been in UK 21 years. Prefer seeing nice countryside to London. Oh yeah, rural Japan's amazing. My God, I found where you are on Google Maps. Isn't it great? Like the exact spot. It's so cool. Yeah, you can follow the little walk. There's actually a really cool content creator that I thought about copying. You know, you find people that are successful in their niche, and you're like, I want to be in that niche. It's like, no, just make your own niche. Let them have their thing. But in that season of comparison, there's a guy, I think it's called Japan, like virtual walks. He just walks silently in areas of Japan with like a 4K camera. But he has a little GPS tracker. So he's got like a live map in every video where you can see the exact path he walked. And then I'm sure when people plan their trips to Japan, they just check out all his paths and they're like, oh, that one looked fun, right? Like, wouldn't it be great to like be able to know ahead of time? That's the whole wonder of like online stuff. But anyway, what you want to do if you're coming to Japan, pre-planning, figure out what you want, do your 3 days in Tokyo, take a bullet train down to Kyoto or Osaka, because they're only 45 minutes apart from one another, 30 minutes to an hour depending on timing out your trains. And then all you gotta do, let me make some room for this guy. See what I'm saying? Oh, he's cutting back, nice. That's a good turnabout, nice form. All you gotta do then is make one of those areas your hub. Because if you're flying to Japan, you're probably bringing a large suitcase. Even I'd say bring a small one, because you want to buy a whole bunch of crap. Definitely underpack. Wash your clothes, because there's washers and dryers available at most hotels or Airbnbs. Walk in with you on Google Maps right now. Is it fun? You could literally do this every run I do, because I just put a camera on my head and run most of the time. Roman Hydra. That's why I don't start my runs from my home, because I don't need people with Google Maps to know where I live. I will now. Yeah, you'll get really good at it, because when I'm not traveling for work or content, because ideally I start getting deals in Japan to like go to this location, have some experiences, make a video, get paid. Like eventually I'll do stuff like that. But that's smart. Yeah, I know. I have certain safeguards in place to protect my children, all right? Even though it's not as common in Japan for things to happen, it happens. But anyway, you want to go to either Osaka or Kyoto. I'd actually argue Osaka's got a better vibe from Tokyo. And you want to set up a base camp. So get an Airbnb for 4 or 5 days. All right, and that way you don't have to keep moving all your crap. And the reason I say that is like you could spend a day to 2 days in Osaka. There's some really fun stuff to do there. There's a castle. Dontonbori is like the best thing ever in my opinion. It's like a beautiful street. It's got a nice food scene. You could eat there multiple nights. Oh, what else is in Osaka? I haven't been there in a while. Those are the big two that I normally take people to, is Dontonbori and Osaka-jo, the castle. You could technically squeeze it into 1 day if you needed to. But lots of other fun stuff there. Apparently there's a very special denim store where you can get Japanese denim. I had a friend come out who really cared about that. The stuff folks find on the internet and connect to and then try to experience in real life, it's really cool. Because like I just saw that with immediate judgment, but for him it was a really important experience. So there's that. And then, how gozaimasu. And then once you have your whole thing set up with, this is a nice walk. How gozaimasu. One of the perks of waking up at 4 a.m., right? I'm now messaging people. I need to make sure this happens. Oh my gosh, you need the guide. Speaking of which, Lucius, how much would you pay for a guide? How much value would it need to provide for you to be like, that will make it the best trip of my life? Not that I'm looking to paywall it, because I hate paywalls. I'm only trying to paywall like a handful of things. So there's ways I could structure the guide to still make revenue if it's free, which I'm exploring first. But I'm just like asking these questions because it's also good to know like this guide provides this much value to someone, right? But anyway, so you got your base camp in Osaka. You do Dontonbori and Osaka-jo. You knock that out in 1 day. Maybe you find some other cool stuff to do the second day. Restaurants, exploring, go see a baseball game or something. And from there though, you could then do day trips. So you could do a day trip out to Kyoto. It's 30 minutes to an hour depending on train travel. And you could probably spend 2 to 3 days in Kyoto. By the way, you do not want to go to Japan in the summer. I will repeat, do not go to Japan in the summer. It's awful. It is so awful. Do not go to Japan in the summer. Like, bold it. Tell all your friends it's not happening during a summer break. Or, right, if it happens in a summer break, it happens June 1st, not July, not August. I see so many people try to come to Japan in summer, and it is miserable. In Kyoto, Dylan, another stream. What's up, friend? Dylan, meet Norman. Norman's been in our community forever. He's a computer scientist, or he's studying computer science. He's got his first 1-year intern. So like he takes a 1-year gap, kind of similar to a co-op, works in industry, and they have to write reports and send it back to a school that he like does a good job and stuff. Norman Dillon's like one of the coolest quality engineers I've ever met. He helped advance innovation from Japan with me for a year 3 years within Johnson & Johnson. Good people. Glad you both get to connect. Apparently we're going in autumn now. Yes, you're not going in the summer. I mean, and I would say don't go during cherry blossom season. Cherry blossom season's amazing. It's beautiful. You could plan your whole once-in-a-lifetime trip around it. Everything's way more crowded and difficult to get to. It's beautiful, but because of global warming and whether or not it's real based on your political and scientific leanings, like you could plan your trip dead center and they can be early and you miss it, or it could be late and you miss it. It's still worth trying. You can bet on it being early, you can bet on it being late, but it makes like all the travel logistics of like trying to book a Shinkansen between locations become more complicated. Not impossible. And Dylan, just to catch you up, we did like, I ran like 1.5 miles. We did Enoshima Island yesterday, which was amazing. It's like a cool little island. There's like a lighthouse thing on it and some caves, some water caves. Oh, right, a coworker, how cool. Yes, good people. Coworker and friend. Lucius, call me out on the Discord server, thanks. Oh, yay, everyone's being helpful, this is wonderful. So, basically, should I run again? I should run again. You're not going in the summer because Kyoto's a basin, which means like all the heat, it's like a big bathtub, and all the steam and moisture and heat just sit and cook everyone alive. And the reason that I want to stress this again for anyone is because Kyoto is like predominantly outside, predominantly hiking, walking, and almost nothing is air conditioned because it's all like ancient temples and shrines. Now there's tons of amazing things to see and do, but it's just so sweaty and miserable. Like, I had friends come in summer and be like, hey, we want to go to Kyoto, can you come to Kyoto with us? They didn't really ask, we kind of offered. And like, there's this monkey mountain, and first of all, it's really cool. And they're like, oh, it'll be like child friendly, like there's monkeys. And me being the trusting person I am, I didn't research it ahead of time, which I should have. It is a freaking mountain. You climb a mountain, there's no elevator, no escalator. It's all uneven stone stairs with like steep, unprotected cliffs. And we did that with at the time, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a heavy 2-year-old that I carried for 45 minutes up a frickin' mountain. And then and my wife was like 4 months pregnant. It was just like so many layers of bad. And you're with friends that you care about, and they're like, oh, isn't this so great? Isn't this so wonderful? And I'm like, yes, it's wonderful. I'm so glad we picked this experience in the summer. Yeah, Fushimi and I in Kyoto in November. Still almost died. Can't imagine the summer. I've run it in the summer, it's bad. University. Yeah, I know. Everyone does it because of the summer breaks between university and school. And you could do more time. It's technically true. But you can also find, like, is there a good gap where you could probably just message your professors and be like, hey, I want to do this 2-week experience in Japan. I know it overlaps with your class. I know I'm going to lose some points, but it's important to me. Can I get the assignments ahead of time? The children must have been strong-willed. The littlest one whined a lot, which is why she got a massive piggyback ride. And I got a DadBod shoulder set. I mean, yesterday I ended up carrying her down a different mountain. On that island is full of little mountains. So anyway, Kyoto's great. Fushimi Inari, 10 out of 10. I have a VR walk of it during the daytime. I have a VR walk of it at night, which is really a trip because it's crazy silent and there's posters warning you about monkeys and bears, and it's like empty. So that's cool. And there's, again, countless temples. I mean, one of my favorite things in Kyoto is actually the train station. It's just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Really good food. So you can keep going between Osaka Station and Kyoto Station, no problem, and do your day trips. If your trip becomes biased towards Kyoto, stay in Kyoto. If it becomes biased in Osaka, stay in Osaka. Yeah, there's a good gap. Plus I'll do an assignment, so that's not bad. Well, that could work out well. And then, so yeah, Fushimi Inari is a trip. I mean, it's like a 3-hour climb, depending on the path you take and how fast you are. And then from there, though, you can definitely tack on, because you have your base camp set in Osaka. You can hit like a 1-day trip to Nara if you want. Nara, you can go and feed deer. It's really cute. Kids love it. Adults love it. Everyone laughs. Sometimes the deer are aggressive. There's deer poop everywhere, but like the novelty of it's worth a day trip for sure. Oh, just bring my work to Joe and he can do my assignments. That's like the premium care package. It's gonna be a little bit more than tour guide rate. And thanks for the like, friends. Appreciate it. It helps people find our content. It keeps the algorithm fed and happy. All right, so where are we going next? So where do we go from here? So you got Nara knocked out. That's a 1-dayer. You could also swing a day trip in Kobe. What? There's a second like. Oh, I called out one person and someone's like, oh my gosh, I forgot. Let me catch up. It's hilarious. But Kobe also has like a really cool vibe. I think it can't be where Kobe beef's from. I don't see how there's a lot of cows in it. But there's like some really nice river walks. It's like a little mini city. Like it's super small and accessible. So it's just, there's like a vibe. I like Kobe. I couldn't get my wife to buy into it for a 1-day excursion, so we did Nara instead, which is better for kids. But if you don't have kids, so many places, right? It's a good thing you didn't fly into Tokyo and spend 7 days in Tokyo and fly out of Tokyo, right? Reason being, if you're doing the 1 week Joe adventure master plan, right? There is a wonderful airport in Osaka called KIX. KIX stands for, I think, Kansai International Experience. What the heck does the X stand for? Anyway, we definitely need this written down. Good. I'll add you to the wait list, Norman. But so fun. We're almost back. I'm getting sort of. The deer in Nara are great, but pushy when you run out of food. Oh yeah, and I mean, my kids didn't get bit, but the kids are at like deer level, especially like Emiko was in a stroller, so they like swarm them. And it goes from fun to fear. They toggle between that quite a few times. So it's fun to watch your kids navigate something that's potentially dangerous, right? And I guess, like, I'm not traumatized, but I remember seeing my sister get bit by a horse and the impact that made on her, like a lifelong fear of horses. So, like, I don't want a lifelong fear of deer. Because, like, what's more traumatizing that in trust you extend a treat, and in return for trusting this cute-looking animal, you experience severe pain and the loss of a finger, right? Like, as far as I know, that deers don't eat meat, but incidentally, they might taste a little, you know. Hey man, I gotta go. I'm gonna try to be on the next stream. No worries, Roman Hydra. And it really meant a lot for you to pop by after like a year. It's cool how people boomerang in and out of the community, so appreciate you, friend. See you on the next one. So, yeah, so from Osaka, you have a couple choices. You can use KIX Airport and fly straight back to the UK and be like, that was a great 1 week trip. Now, if you have like another week or some extra days, there's different pathways you can take. You can take an additional bullet train from Kix and go deeper south. So like you could go down to like Kitakyushu and Fukuoka, this is not the path I want to be on. Sorry, there's a different one that has a cool boardwalk. We're just chill walking home and chatting. We got enough running, enough sweat for the day. I'm on vacation. And I've run every day this week, so my legs are a little sore. And we're still coming off a back injury from moving. But you can take a bullet train down to Kitakyushu, Fukuoka. Now those are going to be really hot. If you want to be crazy, this is something me and my wife have wanted to do and haven't. You can actually get on a ferry that will take you from Kitakyushu. No, Fukuoka. Maybe both. But from Fukuoka, you can take a ferry to South Korea, to Busan. So I don't know if you have any interest in South Korea, but it's like if you want to get 2 stamps on your passport, one via ferry, there's a way to do it. Go spend a night in Busan. And then, I think Busan has an airport, so you could probably fly from Busan. If we're getting crazy now, okay, you don't have children and you can just do whatever you want, and let's say you plan for this, you work really hard at your internships, you save money. If you want to make it like a complete baller experience, you could go to Busan, again, get your immigration stamp, and then you can fly from Busan to Okinawa, which would be the farthest south Japan you could realistically go. You could do 3 days in Okinawa. We did that with Felicia's father. And it is out of the way from Tokyo, but it's cool. And then if you want to do the whole circuit, like you want to go hard and spend all your money on travel and experience and food, then after 3 days in Okinawa, which is pretty much enough to snorkel, see an epic aquarium, hang out on the beach, go to America Town, which is like such an interesting cognate of America. It's not America, but it's America-ish, because there's also like a military presence and a base there. And then fly from Okinawa to Sapporo, which is kind of it's not northernmost part of Hokkaido, which is the the northest prefecture, but it's like the largest city that's most north. Hang out in Sapporo for a day or 2. There's some really neat stuff to see and experience there. Then you can take either a flight. Yeah, probably fly it. Oh, well, we don't need to get back to Tokyo. What are we thinking? Because it's multi-flight. Just fly home. I think that's the way. Sorry, lost my camera for a minute. So like, there's this cool little boardwalky thing. So like, once you finish your Hokkaido leg, there we go, we're back. I'm so sorry. My computer just gave out. My phone gave up on this experience for a minute. Let's see. We're back. Anyway, it's a lot to process. But imagine that you hadn't asked the question, right? You would have gone, looked on everything you could find on Instagram. Does anyone use Instagram anymore? I don't use it, but I post to it though. And then you would have just gone out, did your little Tokyo trip, and been perfectly content, none the wiser. Would have went down to Kyoto and back, would have skipped Osaka, would have skipped Nara, maybe done Nara if you do like enough research, people know of Nara. But like, for instance, you want to do Mount Fuji. We didn't even talk about Mount Fuji. There's a lot of different pathways to do it. Some people want to climb it. That's like a whole thing. I've never done it. Ooh, a lot of surfers caught that wave. That was a good one. Like, I would recommend go to Lake Yamanakako. There's a bus that takes you from Tokyo Station to this, right at the base of Mount Fuji. And with good conditions, if you stand on the correct portion of the lake, you can actually get like a perfect diamond picture of the reflection of Mount Fuji. It is the coolest thing. I think it's cool Then again, Mount Fuji is just a rock. So if you don't want to see a very large pointed rock, don't do Lake Yamanakako, because that's a 1 to 2 day thing. Because you got to get into that town. You got to take like a multi-hour bus. Now that said, there's a half marathon there. Now if you want to time your whole trip around a half marathon, that's the one to run. Maybe that's something I could start to offer, is people could do the DadBod half marathon training to then run the Lake Yamanakako run with me. That would be so cool. People flying to Japan to run 13.2 miles with me, that just seems like that's too good to be true. That's too wild. Maybe I need to dream bigger. But Lake Yamanakako is really tight. So that's a good time. Even what we just did out here, like this whole beach town, super close to Tokyo. It has a little tiki vibe and good snacks, and Enoshima Island's really cool. Apparently a massive pile of shells. It's huge. Oh, it's an oyster shucking place, probably. So there's something here for everyone. And it's just a matter of figuring out what everyone's tastes are. Some people, and this is normally where I start, especially with like coworkers who are like, hey, I'm in Japan today, what should I do? I'm here for 2 days. I'm like, oh, thanks for the notice. Normally with those, because it's normally like J&J coworkers, I start off with like, well, do you want like a traditional Japanese temple kind of experience? Are you a food person? Are you a tall building person? Because Japan loves their tall buildings. So like, you can go to the top of Tokyo Tower, you can go to Skytree. There's like a whole circuit. There's one in Yokohama called the Landmark. There's one in Nagoya called Haruku's 3000. So everyone's got different taste preferences to shape a trip. And Japan, like the length of it from north to south is the same length as like northern Washington all the way to Mexico, like the top of Mexico. Like it's huge. So you have to figure out how to break it into smaller accessible pieces. And you also have to recognize Japan's not one thing. There's a diversity of experiences, perspectives, culinary styles present. Like it is so much more than what you may receive from your default cultural context. Like I don't know what it's like in the UK concerning Japanese food, for instance. In the US, it's sushi. And sometimes, if you're in the right hipster location, ramen. Sometimes if you're in a really, really hipster location like tempura, or it's like a Japanese place that has all the foods, that's typically not the style in Japan. Typically, Japan focuses on like excellence and perfection, which means if you go to a restaurant for tempura, it's tempura. Like all of your friends and you will be eating the same food. Yes, there's a couple choices on the menu, but holistically, it's all fried in the style of tempura. Or if it's a tonkatsu restaurant, which is like a fried pork cutlet, which is katsu, it's all in the style of katsu. So you have to kind of like accommodate difference in food and experience. Welcome to the dog park. So, lots to process, lots to experience, lots to enjoy, right? And you got to shape it the way that you want it. Like we had a friend come out and they were going to stay at our house. And they stayed at our house, and on their itinerary they're like, we heard you really got to eat at Ippudo ramen. And they were going to go all the way out to Shinjuku, which was like an hour or so from where we were, to eat Ippudo ramen. And I was like, Ippudo ramen is a chain. It's really good. I eat at it. You should definitely eat at Ippudo ramen. There's one 5 minutes from our house, or 10 minutes, or whatever, right? Like, So if you want that style of food, you don't need to go to that specific Shinjuku Ippudo because they're everywhere. And stuff happens like that with all kinds of stuff. So you just figure it out over time. Because they could spend that hour not traveling, right? Or having a different food experience. I also try to help people be like, figure out again, are you a tall building person? Are you a historical temple, cultural experience kind of person? There's museum people. We don't do museums because we have small kids. So it's more stress than it's worth it this season. Maybe later. But once you know that, focus on going to those locations and those experiences and understand that there's like a plethora of food available near those locations and definitely near any major station. So like, you're never not going to be able to eat in Japan. And you're not going to find the best tempura and the best, like there's too many and they're too spread out. But anything you eat here is probably better than any Japanese food you could eat where you're from. So like also helping people find like layer of like experiential contentment, because otherwise you could ping pong across all these different cities and regions and just burn yourself out needlessly. Whereas you could have really like maximized the experience of when you went to the bonsai village by just having a simple bowl of ramen afterwards. Okay, that's my rant on Japan. Hopefully that's helpful. Norman, you got all your notes? Are you good? Did I give you everything you need? I'll try to organize it for you in the future. And thanks everyone for joining me on a nice run walk. I'm gonna get back home once I'm done, or to the Airbnb. And then our checkout's in like, at this point, probably 4 hours, but we're in decent shape. So what I'm thinking is if the kids are still asleep, I might run out really fast for a morning swim. Take a shower, pack up, and go. That's the plan anyway. We'll see where the execution lies. Because if I come in and there's a crying baby or a kid awake, then I'll let it go. I don't need to splash anymore. I got enough beach. I don't want to go get eaten by a shark. Does anyone else have apprehensions of being in the ocean? I just feel like I can't defend myself. On level ground, I mean, me versus a bear or a tiger, I don't feel very... That's not a promising competition either. I don't know what would make that more level, like, besides a gun, but I don't really know. I don't use them regularly, like some folks. But definitely out in the water. Like I was out there with like my young kids having fun, and they were getting a little deeper than me and the water was foggy. I was like, there is nothing I can do. Like there's a scene in, what is it, a Silence? Or not The Silence. It's a Martyr film. Shit, I forget what it's called. There's like these little monsters that attack people when they make noise. It's got Jim from The Office in it. I don't know. Anyway, there's a scene where like the kid hits a robot toy on the railroad tracks and the dad is like running to save their kid. And I'd never seen that whole scene. I'd never seen the movie. It's kind of creepy. How can I was? But I saw like a YouTube clip that actually had what happens when the dad's running, because you know, Jim from The Office looks pretty stressed. A lot less collected than when he's trying to mess with Dwight. And then like in a split second, some like stick bug, fast alien leg monster thing jumps out and grabs the kid right in front of him. And it's like, whoa, that was fast and terrible and a lot to process. And the screen just goes black. I was like, that's a great start to this journey. Thanks for that. Still haven't seen the movie. But I saw that moment with my kids in the water and just be that proximal to them and do nothing. And I was like, whoa, I don't like that feeling. Even though nothing happened and I want them to learn how to experience life. It's weird. The experiences you have as a parent. Wild. Alright, friends. Be careful of tsunamis. We're only 5 meters above sea level, which really ain't enough. So I'm going to drop off. Thanks for a great live, and I'll see you on the next one. Have fun with your day.